Blessings, beautiful people. How are you doing? Come on in. Come on in. I'm going to start off really quick. I am Nekia Foxx from Nekia Foxx and Company, where I help amazing men and women transform from the inside out. I was just wrapping up. Hello for those that are just coming in, and for those watching the replay, hey! If this is your first time, thank you for subscribing to the YouTube channel. But listen here, I wanted to talk quickly. I was supposed to have came on yesterday and spoke on assets and assets, right? A lot of times in our journey, we are literally defining and redefining ourselves. And you get to a point where you're at a standstill. Hey, Rashonda, blessings. You get to a point where you have to know your worth without a shadow of a doubt. Blessings, beautiful. You will encounter situations and people that will trigger the self-doubt that you used to have. And one thing I've realized is when you know you come from a genuine place, and when you know you worked on your heart space to be vulnerable and to come of service and to add to the lives of all that you encounter, everyone should not have access to you. That's one thing I've realized. Everyone is not granted access to you. And the thing about that is that's their loss. See, everyone is in a different journey, and people are committed to their journey at different phases of their lives. Blessings, Priscilla, blessings. And people are, blessings, Jamaican Spice, thank you for coming on in. People are an acknowledgement of worth and self-worth at different phases of their lives. And one thing in this season, especially for 2020, because that's the year, you know, just like when you go to the eye doctor and they say, do you have 2020 vision? 2020 is a year, mark my word, that's like never before. Thank you for the hearts. And you want to go in 2020 knowing exactly who you are, whose you are, who deserve direct access, who has to be denied access, what situations no longer deserve you being able to entertain it in a way that it takes your peace. Because listen here, we are all in this thing together. And if they don't see your worth, they do not belong in your space, and they cannot have access. It's so serious. When you are an asset, you understand that you worked in so many areas of your life to add value. You know you bring the table. Listen, you don't have to be invited. You bring the table. You know that you have resources. You know that you have a level of giving from the heart freely in a way. You know that you've been blessed to be a giver, because givers always have to give, right? That's the blessing. And the Lord says it's better to give than to receive. So you know you've been blessed. Blessings, Mr. Mills. You've been blessed to be a giver. But do not allow everyone, I don't care if it's family, friends, acquaintances, to take from a place that they should not have access to in this season that's coming up. Because you've seen their ways, you've seen the lack of integrity, you've seen the lack of urgency. Because this is the thing with me, I am a make it happen person. I'm a person, my word is my bond. I am a person that if I say I'm going to do something, I have a sense of urgency on making that happen for you, because I said I was going to do it. I don't just haphazard or put my hand up. And you might give out of that same essence. And I had to stop. Let me tell you, one thing that changed my life, I had to stop thinking that everyone sees things the way I see things, or everyone has a level of standing by their word that like I have, or that everyone values their word. Because that's one thing my dad, blessings Nisha, blessings Perkins, my dad instilled in me very early. He said, a man is nothing if his word means nothing. If your word means nothing, you are equivalent to that nothingness that you've added to that lack of action connected to that word, right? So I've always strived on, if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. If I have requested something, or I have a sense of urgency, because people will literally put you in a position to want to be like this, right? And one thing I'm learning, blessings, Angelique, you have to learn that if you're blessed to be a giver, you're blessed to be naturally, wanting to be nice and give everybody the benefit of the doubt until they show you through their experiences over and over again. We have to look at history. Remember, 2020 is not the year to be fickle. 2020, hello, Gina. 2020 is not the year not to know your worth. 2020 is not the year that you want to go in allowing access to those that don't honor their own word. 2020 is not the year that you want to be connected to the lessons that you've already learned. 2020 is not the year that you forget that you add value. You've worked on those areas time and time again. Hello, Honesty. Hello, Teresa. You've worked on so much on a personal level so that you can be able to heal on a level, so that you will literally be able to stay in a place of giving and not like this, right? I remember back in, I think it was about 6 years ago when I had another encounter with this. I gave something to someone, and literally it took me back to a place that I went in a drought season, because I've always been a giver, and I got to a place where I felt like people were trying to abuse that level of access to me, and people will literally play these mind games as if, everybody got a story. And that's one thing I'm learning from here on out. In 2020, you're going to have to just tell them, I'm going to pray for you. In 2020, you're going to have to just tell them that, listen here, I'm going to need you to find another route, because this has been your story for years. In 2020, you're going to have to tell some people that, listen here, I'm going to stand in agreement with the actions that you're willing to take for your own life. In 2020, you're going to have to not be somebody else's last resort. In 2020, we have to know that we add value, but we're just not giving in unfertile ground as well, right? Because it'll bring a level of frustration in your spirit that is not worth taking away the energy and the momentum that you need to stay focused and in alignment with the goals. And remember, the people that are in alignment for your destiny, that have put in the work, that honor their word, they're going to be in the same wavelength. And normally they won't even ask you so easily. When you meet people that it's so easy for them to ask you for something, or it's so easy for them to just have their hand out every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes they got a story, this happened or that happened or this. Listen, we don't want to hear no stories in 2020. In 2020, you might not even get the phone answered for you. In 2020, the access that all those people used to have access is now denied, right? Because we've learned our lessons over and over again, right? And it's not that you're being nasty, it's that sometimes we are holding up them learning the Lord for who he is in their lives, right? Sometimes we are holding them up from being able to embrace pressure, just like we had to learn how to embrace pressure and to become a critical thinker and to learn how to be a solutionist, right? So listen, they always play, it's always the victim. And remember, they're going to beat you mad. Remember, they're going to always beat you mad. They're going to beat you mad at your stuff. They're going to beat you mad for the inconvenience that they've caused your life. They're going to beat you mad at all of the destruction that they've caused to an honest, genuine, good situation, right? They're going to beat you mad at it. But remember, heavenly blessings, Martique's blessings. But in 2020, listen here, you know that you add value, and you've been adding value for years. You know that you've given from good places, and you know that people have showed you their ways, that they no longer have access to you anymore. And the word to the wise, and it's not that you are not willing to help, is that you're going to now help in diligent prayer along with them. I'm going to stand in agreement for you, brother or sister, in that manner. I'm going to stand in agreement with the action that you need to start taking in your life, because time is up for all these people having these same stories year after year after year, coming with, because listen, if it ain't you that's going to help them, it's going to be somebody else. So stop being the final story receiver that they have and they've been giving, and allow them to start learning how to deal with the pressure of life that they need to learn learn for their journey. And then listen here, allow the situation to help grow them so that they can start changing some of their ways, right? Just like we have to learn our lessons, we all have to learn our lessons. But when your word means nothing, don't expect people to keep on giving you access. When your actions lack a level of urgency to do the things in which you said you're going to do, stop thinking that people are going to be. Blessings, Tanya. Blessings, Traminisha. Blessings. Stop thinking that people are going to continue to allow you access when your lack of urgency with your word and all of that is not aligned up. Because listen, we all have to grow in this thing. I'm not working hard. Listen. Come on now, Miss Gina. We all on Google. We all making phone calls. We all trying to figure out how we can create a solution for them and how we can loop this back around, and they not even worrying about it, honey. They don't even know what's going on. Those people sleeping good, and you up thinking at night like, Lord Jesus, how can they do this and how can they do that? You done gave them 5 or 10 ways to come out their problem, and this is about the 5th, 6th year, 10th year, 15th year of the same story. Time is up, because remember, you guys, 2020 is here. That's right. And access is no longer granted because you've abused. That's right. Blessings, Jane Marriage. Congratulations, because you have now granted yourself no more access to those vessels that were giving from a good place, because they cannot jeopardize their peace dealing with you. Because see, when people are not committed to their own journey, they only can offer you frustration, right? They only can offer you, because they're not committed to their journey. They're not committed to doing better, changing their ways, taking, having to bite the bullet, put the big girl or the big boy pants on. They're not willing to do the extras and the sacrifices that's normally required in the journey. They're not willing to do that. They just want to have a quick, simple story, right? Come on now. You better make sure it's your assignment, right? That's the thing, because everybody that we have access to, that's one thing. See, we're in good evaluation season over here, honey. Because see, 2020, there is no access granted to those that their repeated actions have showed you that they're not in alignment with your current season that you're in. And sometimes we have outgrown people that we love so dear and that we're so connected to. But if they're causing continuous frustrations and their level of disregard to you and your feelings, and honoring the act in which they said they were going to do or not do, right? Listen, I'm so serious. I don't even want someone to pay me the waste of time if not willing to work. Listen, I agree, Gina. See it quick and move on. Listen, we have seen that thing 2 times. We have the scars from touching the stove 2 times. We have all of that, because listen, they are in a season that they're going to have to deal with the story when they say stop crying wolf, because when you really need something, you don't cry wolf too long to the people that were actually able to help you, and now when you finally really need it, their access is now denied, and now you are now predator to dealing with all of the conniving people of the world. Right. No, blessings. Hey, Tanya, blessings. Listen, we have learned some lessons, haven't we, powerhouses? Right. We have learned some lessons. Well, see, that's the thing. I'm there with you, Tramanisha. Let me tell you, Miss Lambert. Let me tell you. When you are a giver, your heart will forever be tested in a way until you learn how to say your yeses, let your yay be your yay and your no be your no. When you are blessed to be a giver, that's normally a test that we see time and time again, right? That's normally something that God gives us so we can start learning how to define our boundaries, healthy boundaries. We can learn how to start assessing when we meet people, those old scars. It's like you feel it right away when you get that good little pause, like, oh, I shouldn't do that. Listen, we have touched that stove too many times. And listen, here in 2020, you cannot afford to even be connected to that level of frustration, right? And it's not that you don't love them. I love you too much to keep on giving into these stories. I love you too much to keep on sitting here listening to these stories. I love you too much to keep on answering this phone. Access is now denied, and it's okay. You don't have to just cut them off. You ain't got to make this abrupt, whatever. But listen here, everybody got to learn how to do what? They got to level up internally. Your word needs to mean something. Your level of urgency, because see, when you're dealing with make it happen people, we have a level of urgency, right? And when we see that you don't have a level of urgency for us, that shows disregard, and that means that you're trying me, right? And when you try me, nothing personal, because you used to. That's right. God shows you how to walk away with a good blessings. Blessings. You know, that's my favorite word. Blessings. It says all it needs to say blessings. And I wish you well, but you no longer have access in that way. And at this point, it doesn't matter who you are and how long I know you. If your ways have showed me based on the history of your actions and your disregard to your own word, it's nothing personal, but I cannot forfeit it in this season to be connected. It's nothing personal. And no, next year I will not be answering this phone at all. And at all. And no, I will not sit here and listen to stories, and it's all about excuses from you not stepping up to the plate and doing what you need to do. Listen here, it's some seasons where you got to get a second job. It's some season when you got to get a third job. It's some seasons in your life when you got to bake cakes, cupcakes, sew clothes. Listen here, you got to keep some kids at your house. It's some season where you got to do what you don't want to do. But what we won't do is keep on letting these people call our phones, right? With all these good excuses, because they're not willing to do what they are supposed to be doing in this season to learn how to adjust to the pressures that's designed for their lives, right? That's right. Listen, this is all. Listen, we all have to learn. What you say? I'm gonna need you to. I got you, Gina. I'm gonna need you to learn how to say yes and how to say no, and to stand on it, because we have to go based on what we've seen, based on facts and history and track records. We've collected all the data. We've collected all the data we need to collect at this point. So it's not that we're cutting you off. We're just now removing you from accessibility. That's all. So it's not. So our level of urgency is no longer connected to you now, right? And it's nothing personal, but that's what your lack of urgency, your disregard has now caused the situation. Because listen here, I've worked hard to stay being a giver. I've worked hard to cleanse my heart so I don't have to be guarded every 5 minutes thinking somebody trying me or they're trying to take from me. I've worked so hard to be able to add and to learn and read all these books and go to all these conferences and get all this information and to start all these businesses and to spend all my money. I work hard to spend all my savings and to literally have the faith for you to have access to me and you not value it. I've worked too hard. So I'm just doing a friendly reminder, because 2020, this is all out of love. Access is now denied. We all are confirmed on our value system at this point. We all know our worth, and we all know that we're not doing you wrong, and we all know that we are not helping, because we're going to take this thing to the Bible, because the Bible tells us not to give in unfertile ground, right? And we've noticed based on the frustration that those things were unfertile ground, and those people, it was like giving to the swines, right? And those people were not people that we should have been connected to during that season. And remember, seasons change, and maybe they will do their personal work to be back in alignment, but it's a service announcement that all of those that are make it happen people are no longer going to be connected to those that have excuses. They're no longer, because I'm giving a friendly update for those that have been literally saying things and not following through, saying things and dropping the ball, saying things and want to flip the script, saying things and want to blame somebody else, saying things and want to try to play the mind game and the victims. Listen here, we're no longer going to be accessible to that in 2020. Because in 2020, we have things that we're vibrating on a level that frustration that is offered on your end is not, it's not acceptable, and it's not needed, and it is not allowed, right? Listen, it's real, and it's nothing personal. But listen, when you have put in the work, you get tired of people over and over and over again making you doubt that you're coming from a place of a good heart and wanting to help them, when the end result is the same thing over and over again. would you say don't keep watching me grind, then see the growth, and then want to holler at me? Well, listen here, and they can holler at you, Miss Gina. They can go directly to your website and they can book a business consultation strategy session. They can book a business strategy session. They can book and become part of your mastermind. It's so many ways that they can call this time, but guess what? You'll have to go to www.nekiafoxx.com and you'll have to set a that's right. You'll have to, get your card out, the last four, right? And you'll have to input that information. That's right. Oh, yeah. See, it's no problem about them calling now. But now, blessings, Mr. Charles, but now you have to go to their website. And in order for me to sit and listen to any stories moving forward, you're going to have to put the zip code in, and we're going to have to put those last four of that card number in, and we're going to have to put the expiration date in there. That's right. In order to get access to me now, because the access was not, that's right, and it's okay. But it's nothing personal. And I guarantee you, when you tell people to put their money where their mouth is, they start acting real different. It gets a whole nother level of seriousness in the conversation. They start actually pausing and thinking instead of asking. When you tell them to actually verify with their funds, it starts being a whole nother ball game, right? When you're paying thousands of dollars to literally learn and to grow and to literally, you're investing in yourself, and you're literally you're doing the heart space work, and you're going to them deep dark places, right? You're going to them deep dark places and dealing with your trauma, and you're dealing with your pain, and you're dealing with all the things that used to make you have conflict within. We are not dealing with that anymore. So access is no longer allowed, and it's no longer granted. And those phone calls are no longer going to be answered. And those stories, you can start getting a notepad and a paper and writing it down for your book. That's right. That's right. Blessings, Dr. Millionaire. Blessings, Dr. Natalie. Listen, that's what's happening, because 2020, we need to have clear vision, just like going to the eye doctor. You need to be so clear on your goals. You need to be so sharp on who you are, because listen here, you're going to be in rooms with people, right, that if you don't know who you are, because you're still connected to people that are making you stay confused on your worth, you're going to blow it, right? You're going to doubt this new opportunity that is coming in your life in 2020, because we're still staying to a level of frustration with people that we're not supposed to be still connected to, right? We're not being in that free spirit. Blessings, Freya. We're not being in that free spirit to connect with those that are resonating and that are make it happen people as well. So normally make it happen people, in order to become a make it happen person, you have to be willing to stand on your word when nobody is watching, right? That has to be a principle that no one has to talk to you about. When you're a make it happen person, that's something that's a true value system to yourself, right? When you're a make it happen person, following through is something that you naturally do, right? Because normally your life shows that you produce results, right? You normally have a list of things that normally it has showed that you follow through. Obviously your word meant something. Normally, in order to get a make it happen person title, and to be resourceful and someone that people believe that can help them, you normally have to have a genuine track record of doing the work when no one was looking, right? So we have to break down things at this point that people should already know on their own. We're in the wrong place. We're in the wrong place. So it's okay. So this was just a service announcement, because you guys, I do this every single year based on, because 2020 is not just a regular year. That's going to be a year that's about to blow our minds, right? And in the last 4 months, because God is always amazing to me in September, I so many great things is about to start popping off, right? But when you have to spend so many countless moments of your life, we only get one life to live. I have family that's in the Bahamas. You have literally people that are losing their lives left and right? You have people that are literally leaving up out of here, different age groups. You start looking at life in a different way. You start looking at life at, listen here, I want this thing to be meaningful. What truth do I need to stand on moving forward? How can I maximize the things, right? Hey, Kamisha. Hey, Jacqueline. How can I maximize the things in which are true to me, right? That's what happens when you are literally at a place where you start analyzing, am I in a place that I can come freely and genuinely and actually be able to maximize the time that I have on this earth, right? Then you start evaluating some things. Like, I no longer want my energy to be taken from takers. I no longer want my energy to literally be misused and abused by those that don't value the asset that I know I am to be, because I've put in the work. That's right. So listen, this is just a service announcement. Hey, Kamish, this is a service announcement that when you work on becoming an asset, when access is now denied to those that never were supposed to be in your space, it's their loss, not yours. And this is the season where they're going to have to learn a little bit of tough love, and they're going to have to learn how to change their ways, because they no longer can call that phone and it be answered anymore. They no longer can act without being able to put in the work anymore. They can no longer take from places that they're not willing to do the same in anymore. Because listen here, if you look at, the seasons of life, and you look at when I speak to men and women of God, we all have different lessons, and we all have different obstacles that we're to overcome, but timing and season is normally general. If you're a part of the body of Christ, we're getting ready to take on a level of overflow that has never been seen on this earth. We're literally, God is preparing us to be in rooms where we never thought we used to would have been able to have access to, right? God is allowing us now in this now season to have a level of clarity to heal generational hurt that the others never had the opportunity to deal with on their level, right? God is allowing us to walk in a level of fullness, of wholeness, that the last generation wished they could have been in essence of, right? So in order for that to happen, we must stand on our truths. We must know what needs to be a yes in our lives and what needs to be a no. And access will no longer be granted moving forward in 2020, right? Hey, Mother. Hey, Ursula James. Access is no longer granted in 2020, because I always do a service announcement before the next year based on what I've seen has been a reoccurring thing and what I've seen, right? Access is no longer denied, right? Because we no longer need to feel good about being connected to things that frustrate us. We don't need the validation. We don't need any of that, because we've learned that we've been doing more harm than good. We've learned that every single one of us have to learn how to sacrifice in this life. Hey, Mother, every single one of us has to learn how to sacrifice in this life. And every single one of us has lessons along this journey that we need to learn. That pressure is preparing you for your destiny. That pressure is preparing you. That level of being able to align up with those that resonate with your energy, that requires a level of personal work. And that work requires people to learn how to be accountable, learn discipline, learn structure. Because listen here, when you have become a make it happen person, it gets to a point that you will no longer tolerate the things that are not helping you become your best self. And anything that is jeopardizing your peace, you are now eliminating for good. In a way that we all have to understand that this thing is about energy. And if something is taking your energy, it should not have access. If something is taking you to a place that you are now having to question, should you or should I not, or did I or did I not, it should not have access in this season, because we've touched the stove too many times. We've touched we burnt our hand too many times with things. Listen here, emotionally, I have been to a place last year was a year of so many things getting executed in my life that were external achievements, right? This year was a tough year of a lot of internal work, in which I'm learning how to truly say yes and how to truly say no. And if I can't operate in my truth, I now understand the power in which being confused or being frustrated does to your life. I now understand that sometimes you outgrow your circle. Sometimes you outgrow your environment. And yeah, it's scary out there. And when they say, oh, it's lonely at the top, I'm not nowhere near where I'm about to be, right? Eyes have not seen for each and every one of us. Eyes not have seen, ears have not heard what God has in store for you, right? But in order for him to prepare you to enter into your fullness, it requires a lot of situations that you have to encounter in order for you to define and redefine the things in which you value and you need moving forward. So all of these things have been opportunities for us to learn, because where we're going, you need to know your yes and you need to know your no. Where you're going, you don't need to be questioning if it's integrity or if it's a level of urgency, because people that are making it happen, people have a level of urgency and they're willing to do what it takes to get the bottom line done. When you are literally elevating on that level, you need to connect with those that's baseline lessons and principles that we should not be discussing. When you are at that place where you continuously see yourself being drained mentally, like, listen, emotional drain is more than physical exertion. You will literally allow yourself to get to a place that you will be emotionally blessing sis. We all here talking about assets and access, because 2020 access is denied for all of the stories that we've been hearing for years and all of the people that have those stories for year after year. And literally we're now at a place that our vision is so clear on where we're going. Our vision is so clear on what God has for us, and we are so sure of who we are. I just want to do just a service announcement today that access is denied, because when you have worked hard to become an asset, you know that you add value. You know the level of urgency that is required for the journey. You know the level of discipline that's required for the journey. You know the level of make it happen that needs to resonate from your spirit in order to stay in the journey. You understand that this thing is not for, when it says it's not for the one that does it swiftly, but the one that endures to the end. That takes a level of resilience, right? That takes a level of, I don't want the shortcut out. That takes a level of, listen here, I'm willing to do whatever it takes so I can learn it the hard way. Don't hook me up. Let me learn from the ground up, because I want to learn how to repeat. See, results are done by being able to duplicate and replicate. And one thing I've learned, that a lot of people are just doing, but they have not allowed themselves to learn the things in which will allow them to duplicate success, meaning that it can be repeated over and over and over again. It's because a lot of them was hooked up. And when you're hooked up, you do yourself a disservice, because you don't learn that ground level lessons that you need to learn in order to stand on throughout your journey, right? Getting hooked up does you more bad than it does good. So stop wanting the easy route out and be willing to do the work. So if you're in a season where you need a second job, a third job, if you're in a season where you need to be single instead of having a mate, if you're in a season that you literally need to be in church 5 days a week, if you're in a season that you need to read the Bible 5 times a day, whatever season you're in, do what you need to do so you can learn your yeses and your no. Do what you need to do so that you can become an asset, so that when you enter a room, nobody did you no favor. You're supposed to be there. Do what you need to do so when you walk in a room, you ain't looking for no acknowledgement, because you know what you bring. You've done the work. You literally have the lessons, and you have the insight to be able to help somebody else come up out that rabbit hole if they're ready. But in this season, you have to go to the website and you have to book a session. There will be no more phone calls and draining sessions. In 2020, this thing has to count. Because long are the days when you drain the people that are doing the work and that are trying to get ahead because you want to be lazy. Long are gone the days that you are willing to have access to people that you're not even supposed to be sitting next to. Long are gone the days that you are being able to just literally take the shortcut out, because God is making everybody put in the work in this season, because we all need it moving forward. Because listen here, it's no need in you getting this big opportunity if you can't produce the outcome. It's no need in somebody coming here trying to connect you when your level of integrity, and that's another thing. It's being accessible. Blessings, Angela and Mr. African, being accessible. That we just gave it so loosely to people that, when they get connected to a lot of the information, or a lot of the connections that their level of personal work is not in alignment with having those type of connections. Now you deem yourself and you forfeit your connections and the things in which you value, because they don't even know the worth of it. because they didn't put in the work, right? It's just like somebody calling you after you. I've been in the hair business a very long time. And I remember back in the days when I was, a person that had information on some of the best hair in the world. And, I had wasted thousands of dollars ordering the horrible hair. But they will be so quick to ask you at the end of the day, what was your final, after wasting all your money and finally getting a good vendor, they will ask you, where is your final connect? And one thing I learned the hard way is, next thing you know, you are cut out the picture. Next thing you know, they don't value, because they didn't spend hours researching and they didn't spend their money trying out and testing out products. They just want to ask, where did you get it from, right? And then next thing you know, it end up diminishing the very thing that used to be valuable. And that's why you see the hair industry where it is now, because it has been a lot of access to things that people were not doing the work to be able to get in contact with. So now you have services that are supposed to be $500, $600, and $700 for $29.99. That's why you have hairstylists now that have been in the business for over 20 years now having to go out and get a regular job, because the industry has now changed, because so many people that was hustlers or did not value and should not have had access to that type of information was introduced into it. That's the simplest example as I know. But moving forward, you guys, I want you all to stand on your truth, stand on who you are. Everybody should not have access, because when you know you are a make it happen person, people that are not willing to do the work for themselves only offer you frustration. They can only, because they're not willing to follow through with a lot of things that is required to be connected to you. So make sure you understand that in 2020, don't keep putting your hands on the stove. Understand that you've done the work, you've learned the lessons. Understand that you have the ability to literally dictate your environment. And everything is about environment. And understand, for those that are joining this on a replay, all my YouTube subscribers, blessings to you. I hope some of my, my rants can be able to just, hit a little spark here and there. And this is coming from a sheer truth, and kind heart. But this is coming from a person that is fighting and have been fighting to stay nice. Because circumstances have come to test you, to want you to be bitter. But I have too many blessings on the line to not know that God only does this for us to really get it, right? I have too many blessings on the line to harden my heart. I have too many blessings on the line to close my hand, because I've learned from time and time again, when I close my own hand, I close my own hand for even my blessings. When I shut myself down and shut myself off, I shut myself off from even my own blessings. So stay true to who you are. If you're a giver, keep on giving, but make sure it's fertile ground. Stop listening to these stories of excuses from people that are not willing to put in the work for their own lives. Stop willing to stay connected to those things that are continuously hurting and frustrating you. In 2020, you need all the peace so that you can be the powerful vessel that God has ordained you to be, right? So you guys, I hope you are enjoying this amazing, festive, fruitful, faithful Friday, because it's so much in store. But access is it's been denied for 2020, right? Because listen here, we've put in the work, and all my make it happen people, listen here, it was not in vain. Listen here, they just earned themselves a good ticket to not being able to call that phone again. That's all. That's all. So God bless you. God bless you. Blessings, Bishop McKirkland. Blessings, blessings. Bless you. I hope this was able to help somebody that might be in the hallway, or trying to figure out where they need to stand at, and which giving to people or helping. Always be a giver, because you'll always have to give. But make sure it's fertile ground, and make sure the people have a track record that their level of urgency, their level of integrity matches what they're asking for. God bless you. Everything